Hello, everybody, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. I'm Cooper Naylor, your host, and a new studio set. Now, it does look a little bit different than the one I did post on my YouTube short. Since then, I've kind of moved things around, made some different changes. So, yep, this is where I'm going to call the broadcast booth, and I'm going to be doing the videos from here for a little bit until college football season starts, and then I'll unveil the real studio set, which is in another portion of my whole new studio set, which is just amazing. So, of course, I'm very excited for all this, and so yeah, studio's coming nicely, but um, so my first show here is kind of heavy because we're going to start out with some stuff that it's going to be hard to talk about a little in a sense, but you know, we'll get through it. So to begin with, it is talking about the Northwestern Wildcats. I don't know how many of you who watch my channel have really kept up with Northwestern some. I mean, I don't talk about them very much because I mean they're not really noteworthy as far as football is concerned, even though they do make some crazy things happen sometimes. So let's just dive into it. And some of this stuff is a little it's hard to go through because it's hazing we're talking about. Um and really it's um there's a lot of unknowns. So Um, and there's I don't know, I want to make sure I don't say anything wrong with this situation. So I've got an article that's from the the uh the journalism that's been done by people on campus at Northwestern by it's called the Daily Northwestern. So, this is from the college. So it should be reliable to a degree, Um so let's see. Um So of course they had a player come and detail what had happened. Um One thing that this player had said is which they said that the head coach of the football team, Pat Fitzgerald, he knew of what was going on, which did lead to he'd have a suspension for about 3 days, and then they all ultimately Northwestern fired him. Um, so let's see. So, um, so, one of the things this player is saying, that was part of this was that the coach Pat Fitzgerald and so the staff they used running as a punishment. So like, and I mean, I've played basketball before. Most of the time, when they talk about running, when it comes to this, is that you make a bad play, and so the coach is upset with you, and so what happens is that the coach makes you run. Now, how much would this running be? We don't know. That's a good question for what is going on. And it says right here, it's was used to punish teammates, primarily freshmen, for mistakes made on the field and in practice. So, of course, this is coming from the Daily Northwestern, where I'm reading this from. So, um, Yeah, so there were also some very bad stuff as far as also what would go on with the freshmen who had to run. Um yeah, the upperclassmen would do some stuff that was very inappropriate. Um so I'm not going to read all of this, but looking at it, it's pretty disgusting stuff that went on there at Northwestern. And the question I have, because there's been players who have come and, like, have said that this has been going on for a long time now. So the question I have is, how did this just now surface? Because, I mean, looking at this stuff, if and the real thing is we are not in the inside of what actually happened. So here's the question I have. Because you have a player saying that the coach, Pat Fitzgerald, he knew all about this. Okay. This is it's a situation that it's hard to sit here and fathom in a way, but also at the same time it's like if the coach was involved, like if the coach knew that this was going on, how come he didn't put a stop to any of this? Now, I will say there is a fine line between like hazing and then like being a tough coach. What this is saying is it went way over the line. This is bad stuff. But having played sports myself, coaches are going to be tough. If you make a bad play, you're going to have to face some consequence of some sort, whether it be running. Now, the running, I don't know. I guess it just depends on how much running took place. Now, I know football teams are very different than basketball, so it could have been like a lot of laps around the football field or like suicides. Um, yeah, it is, yeah. So, without getting a lot in detail with this, a very bad situation. And quite honestly, I mean, if this is all 100% accurate, and that is the key word that I feel like in today's society we forget, if this is 100% accurate, then Pat Fitzgerald definitely deserved to lose his job. Now, um, if I believe correctly, the baseball coach, I believe, I can see. I'm looking this up real quickly. Okay, so it wasn't just. It was the whole athletic department in on this. So Pat Fitzgerald, who was a football coach, is not the only one who got fired. The baseball coach Jim Foster from Northwestern has also been fired. So before you think, oh, this is just a football thing, this is not just football, folks. This is the whole athletic department at Northwestern. This is bad stuff. And I really hope in a sense that that this hopefully tells people this is not how you run an organization or a school or whatnot. This is quite frankly a very sad situation to see. And again, I don't want to be quoted as saying I know everything about this because let me tell you, I don't know everything about this. So this is just from my perspective. If everything is 100% accurate, then Pat Fitzgerald and Jim Foster definitely deserve to lose their jobs. But, you know, well, of course, there's a lot that could still come out about the stuff. So we'll just keep an eye on this. And if there's any updates, Saturday I'm planning on doing a stream. I'm not 100% accurate if I'm going to be doing that Saturday, but if I am, then if there is any more updates, we'll bring it to you right here on Saber Broadcast Network so that you can get all of the information you need as far as this is concerned. So, moving along to another scandal, Tennessee football. And man, hundreds of violations occurred in Tennessee football program over 3 seasons. This is coming from the NCAA. This is NCAA.org. So this is everything they have reported. Over the course of 3 seasons, the Tennessee football program committed 18 level 1 violations encompassing more than 200 individual infractions, most of which involved recruiting rules, violations, and direct payments to prospects, current student athletes, and their families, according to a decision released by a Division I committee on infractions panel. Now, what are we looking at? Well, basically, what's happened here is this was before the NIL, like name, image, and likeness was a thing in college sports. So players were getting paid, which, let me be honest with you. Before NIL was a thing, players were getting paid all the time. I mean, let's be honest about this, folks. I mean, you can go trace back a lot of players who came through college. Look at all they got. I mean, they would live on one side of the country, and teams would offer them all this luxurious stuff just for their kid. Oh, come play football for us. That is what we're looking at, folks. And so Tennessee, that's probably what they were doing. Got caught. And what was the consequences? Now, this is actually shocking. They had to vacate all 11 wins from 2019 and 2020. So, yeah. No bowl ban, though. Which, I'm going to be completely honest with you, folks. I'm actually kind of happy that this happened. And here's my reasoning. Because you may think, oh, Cooper, you're saying they shouldn't be punished. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying here is that putting a bowl ban on a team that had nothing to do with any of these allegations, it's not fair to these athletes. Because, I mean, let's say that they do go 10-2, but then you got a bowl ban? I mean, that is so, it'd be unfair to the players because you're not even involved in this. You're trying to punish a school, but then the players weren't even at the school at the time, and they have nothing to do with this at all. And you're going to punish the players? They can't go to a bowl game? I mean, I don't know. The bowl ban part of it, I'm happy that they did not go on with the bowl ban because that just would have been unfair, in my opinion, to the players. To the school, though, I mean, the school should have got punished maybe harder. Like that, the school deserves the bowl ban. Players, no, because they're not a part of that. So, yeah. So that's all I got to say about the Tennessee thing. Yeah. So, and then moving right along to some media stuff that I really love this right here. The ACC and the CW Network have struck a deal. And my information is coming from Front Office Sports. They are one of the leading websites on media deals. So like whenever you're talking about the Big Ten signing their deal for CBS, NBC, and Fox, they're the ones you want to read because they got it all right here. This is their forte, as you may say. So, what is included in this deal? So the CW will broadcast 50. So this is 50 football and basketball games annually until 2026-27. So this is 50 football and basketball combined. The partnership comes at an opportune time for the ACC. All right. The CW network has secured a stake in Power 5 Sports media rights. On Thursday, the network announced it has struck a deal with the ACC to broadcast 50 football and basketball games yearly until 2026-27. Next season, the CW will air 13 football games, 28 men's basketball games, and 9 women's basketball games. The games will likely be those that wouldn't have made it to ESPN's national networks and instead were featured on local networks including Bally Sports and Fox Sports. Raycom Sports sublicensed games like these to local broadcasters, which allowed the CW to step into the partnership. Raycom Sports will produce the games for the CW. The partnership signals that the conference is pivoting away from local broadcasting companies as turmoil in the local TV industry continues. So, so what does this tell me? This tells me this is a good deal they've made. Like, I love this because for some people, some of these games you would have to go to like the ESPN app and hope that with your subscription to your TV network, you'd be able to find these games on like ESPN3 and find these games. Or if you lived in those areas, like you could actually watch it locally. But here's the thing. With the CW network stepping in to get this, I will argue right now that the ratings for these games, like that were locally broadcast, I feel like the ratings are going to go up on these games because it's a CW, which is a national over-the-air broadcast station. So, when you talk about those kind of networks, you're talking about CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox. So, in the CW, let me tell you, I like where they're going. I mean, they just picked up the ACC. They've had Live Golf, which has been, people don't, that's a whole conversation for another day for Live Golf. And they've got some other like TV shows they're bringing in. This is good for the CW, in my opinion. Their first game is going to be Cincinnati at Pitt. So that already tells you that should be I think it's an interesting game, in my opinion, because you're looking at Cincinnati, who's been really good these last few years. And then you got a Pitt team that without you got a Pitt team that it's interesting to see how are they going to do this season. So it's an interesting game all around, in my opinion. So the CW, ACC, I think this is a win for both. And I think the viewership will be higher for these games now. So, I think this is a great deal on both sides. So, be great for them. And moving along to the Georgia Bulldogs, the defending national champions of college football. Can they go for a third title in 3 years? And my answer is no. Because from my knowledge, I don't think a college football team has ever done that. And we're looking at a sport where, in my opinion, that this is the hardest league or any kind of sport to ever go for 3 titles in 3 years. Football is a hard sport, and especially college football when you have players filter through like they do. I mean, it's incredible to see teams like Alabama who have sustained success as long as they have. So, to have a team go to have a three-peat, it's hard for me to even think of that. Can Georgia win a third championship? They totally could. But I do have some questions for them that I need to see. I need to really see if they can actually go 3 championships in 3 years. I say no. But who knows? I may be eating my words at the, sometime, in January, it may be like, oh, they won again. And you know what? It'll be one of those days. Who knows what'll happen? But I do think they'll probably be in the playoff again. Georgia, I mean, Kirby Smart is a good coach. And whether people want to admit it or not, the man who built him was when Kirby was defensive coordinator for Nick Saban at Alabama. Kirby Smart is just another version of Nick Saban, in my opinion, who, whenever he started, it was the defense. The defense had to be paramount to a successful team. And that's what Georgia's done these two championships they've won. It's defense. And then you have occasional play and you have the quarterback. Now, it burns me up to have to admit Stetson Bennett may have been the difference for Georgia to win these 2 championships, but he was. Because he had something that these other Georgia quarterbacks who were great did not have. And to me, there was just that willingness to win. He may not have been the most talented quarterback in the country, but he just had that drive to win. And that's what he did at Georgia. So, without him, that's a key piece. Will they find another quarterback that can replicate what he did? I don't think so. I mean, Georgia's going to be good, but I don't see them being the same Georgia we've seen the last 2 years, and that is beating the mess out of everyone and playing so good defense that nobody wants to play this team. Certain teams can be in the mix to go to the playoff every year. Georgia, they can be in the mix, but they're not going to win a championship. Not this year, at least. So that's my answer to that. So now moving along to some surprise teams for 23. And really, it's more about surprisingly bad, I would say. Or I really don't know right now. As far as a team I think would be surprisingly good, surprisingly good. I think some people have said Florida State to be a good team, but I feel like they are good enough to be in the top 6. Florida State to me is a top 6 team. I think they will be really good. Now, surprisingly bad, I think Oklahoma probably. And who knows, I may get in trouble for that, but Oklahoma to me, I just don't like the vision and I don't like where Brent Venables is taking this team. because I don't think this is Oklahoma anymore, because Lincoln Riley left. And since that happened, Oklahoma's not been the same. So I think that Oklahoma will be surprisingly bad, in my opinion. I don't think they'll make a bowl game. That's just my opinion. And then lastly, I want to talk about which coaches are on the hot seat. Jimbo Fisher. That's the only one I'm going to name right now because let me tell you, after how they were last year, how do you go 5-7? How? And you're Texas A&M. And you're predicted to be in the college football playoff by some. 5-7? Wow. Yeah. Here's the thing. Jimbo Fisher's getting paid too much money to be this bad. I mean, now, if they wouldn't have gone 5-7, what could have saved? When you look, if he does get fired, what could have saved his job? The Alabama win. I mean, let me be honest. Some teams literally based upon have you beat the big time threat in the conference. I mean, from a mindset of someone who likes Alabama, that person may be saying, oh my gosh, how? It's got to be determined by success at your school, isn't it? Well, some guys can keep their job by going 7-5 every year, as long as they beat the big team. Other guys can keep their job as long as they continue having 10-win seasons. But Jimbo Fisher will be fired if this season, if they do not have at least 8 wins this season. I'll predict that now. All right. Folks, that was a relatively short show tonight. And just had a lot to talk about in that short time. But so I plan on Saturday bringing you another stream, and so we got some big news coming up here at the channel that I want to talk about Saturday. So be sure to tune in for that. And then also be on the lookout this week because we're going to try to put a community post out. What I'm going to try, well, actually, it should be tomorrow. Either way, what I'm planning on doing with that community post tomorrow is I'm going to put in there, if you have any questions about, anything regarding college football, put it in the comment section on that community tab, and we will answer it on the show Saturday just for you. And, it gives you a chance to feel like you're involved in the show. So that'll probably be, we'll probably I would like to do 5 questions. I think that'd be fun to do. So all in all, that's the plan. So with that being said, tonight has been a success, and it's been nice to see how this goes in the new studio. So thank you for watching, and we will see you again Saturday right here on Saber Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody.